After massive allegations of corruption in Cut Money, Karnataka government will be finally setting up the pre-tender scrutiny committee. The government order for setting up this committee was passed in December. However, it hadn't been set up until now. My colleague Neha now joins me on the broadcast. Neha, 4 months for this committee to actually see the light of day, and this is in the wake of the graft charges that are only growing by the bunch against the government in the state.
Well, that's absolutely right, Griha. It was on 13th December 2021 that the Karnataka government had passed this order for the setting up of a pre-tender scrutiny committee. Let's tell you that all of, in fact, as per the KTTP Act right now in the state of Karnataka, it does mention that, all tenders above 50 crores may go through the scrutiny of this pre-tender scrutiny committee. Now, let's tell you that this comes on the backdrop of several allegations being leveled against the Karnataka government, first by the Contractors Association. Later, we saw that several CEOs also, in fact, had come out and spoken up against the government, saying that they were collecting a commission. But now that we're seeing this announcement coming in from the government that they are going to be setting up this pre-tender scrutiny committee, hopefully some of the corruption charges that, have been leveled against the government, of course, would likely be coming down. The committee is, of course, going to be headed by a retired High Court judge, and would also have 2 experts in the committee, one from the finance background and the other from the background of the department which is issuing the tender. So, of course, this is important. Now, let's mention that, at least for the past week or 10 days now, on Mirror Now, we have been covering how corruption charges against the government has affected the common man. It even saw the resignation of a minister, of a former minister now, in fact, KS Ishwarappa, who was forced to step down on charges that he had, in fact, caused the suicide of a contractor. So with, of course, this tender scrutiny committee now being put in place, we'll really have to hope. And in fact, the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basavaraj Bommai, has now announced that all tenders above 50 crores that have to do with, in fact, construction work or the supply of goods and services would have to, in fact, be put forth in front of the scrutiny committee. And it's only once that they, sort of give the nod for it, or once they give a go-ahead, that we would be actually seeing the tenders then being approved. So, another step, of course, over here. And while the Chief Minister has said that, this would act as a deterrent, one can only hope that, no amount of corruption sort of seeps into this committee again, because that would then defeat the whole purpose of the committee. But a huge move over here. An order that was passed in December is finally seeing the light of day now in the month of April. Back to you.
Also, Neha, any word from the Chief Minister's office on, these growing graft charges against the government in the state? Because after the Corporations Association, we also saw very, very big revelation coming in the wake of a Karnataka Matsya really coming out and talking about commission that was actually taken by government officials to the tune of over 30%. So is this the government's answer, to actually shut out all the cases, or they are going to come out and really talk about these corruption allegations that have, grown by the bunch against the government?
Well, Griha, right from the start, the Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai had maintained that an impartial probe would be conducted into the allegations against, now a former minister, KS Ishwarappa. Of course, while he was forced to resign, at least on moral grounds, as far as the investigation is concerned, we haven't heard a word from the Chief Minister. He does go on to maintain that, yes, the impartial probe would be conducted, and all of those, in fact, of course, found guilty would be brought to the book. But does this now mean that the larger charges that we're seeing of massive corruption allegations against the government, is that going to be probed? That is something that, of course, the government would still have to answer. Yes, while this order for the pre-tender scrutiny committee, now that was passed in December, the order, and now the committee being formed is one step towards reducing, hopefully reducing the kind of commission, allegations that have come forth. Whether or not, like you rightly mentioned, those charges levied by, the SEER and also by the Contractors Association, whether those would be validated over here and the government would call for an investigation, really remains to be seen. We'll have to wait it out.
Right, Neha. Thank you so much for joining us with all those details there.